Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Move Podcast, motivating others virtually every day. I'm glad you joined me today. Right before the holidays, it's almost Christmas. I think we're 3 days out. So I hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas, and I hope everybody that's traveling travels safe. Make it to your destination safely, soundly, with your families, be with your loved ones. Um, Really quick before I get started, just wanted to give another shout out to Goaded right here. God over all things every day. I love repping this brand, um, everything about it, what it stands for. Not to mention the guys that own the company are just absolutely fantastic human beings. And so, shout out to you guys. Appreciate everything that you guys do for me and my family. And let's go. Let's get started. So, I want to cover really quick something that I saw over the weekend is obviously I think most of you guys watched the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight. Um, so my reaction, for whatever that's worth, um, I was actually surprised that it even took place. I thought for sure this was going to be a gimmick and we were going to see an injury in training camp, or there was going to be some reason that the fight didn't happen. Um, and so I was shocked. Like I didn't believe it until I saw them both walk out. I'm like, holy cow! Like this is really going to happen. Um, I wasn't surprised, with the size difference. Obviously Jake Paul's strategy is going to, you want to run, try to wear him out, make him chase you. Don't let him set, don't let him fire off. He did a really good job of that for the first few rounds. It was a very sloppy fight, but I think Jake Paul did that on purpose. Try to get him, get in his head, get him off balance, all the things, and all the going down and grabbing the legs and falling down and all that stuff, which that's not real boxing, right? Like when you watch a boxing fight, you don't see that. Like what? But I understand that was part of the game plan. Um, but at the end of the day, that fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go. It was just a matter of time for Anthony Joshua, put it on him. And kudos to Jake for even getting in the ring. Kudos to Jake for taking that punch and not being completely knocked out, because I think most people we'd just now be waking up after something like that. That was a heck of a shot. That right cross, that was a no joke punch. Um, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked. I knew once the fight was going to go on. I looked at my wife and I was like, well, it's a bigger ring. He better use every inch of that bigger ring to move around, because he's if he gets in AJ's sights, it's over. And I was surprised that his cardio wasn't there going into that kind of a fight. You're training for the biggest fight of your career, and I understand he had to switch gears, but even before that, even a guy like Tank Davis, even though he's much smaller, um, skill wise and everything like that, like the dude is legit. Um, but to come in out of shape, like you would have thought, regardless of whether it was Tank or AJ, like you're going to be in tip top shape, right? Because either one of these guys you're fighting are, you know, they're some of the best in their weight class in the world. So, why would you go in? I was just shocked. 6 rounds, 5 rounds in, he was just gassed. And I'm like, wow. And maybe I'm just used to, John the Iron Man Cantrell, who just his gas tank is just insane. But he trains for that though. Like he didn't just wake up and say, okay, yeah, I can just do this for forever. Like he had to work his way up to that. But it just shocked me that Jake's been boxing for around 5 years and wasn't in that great of shape cardio wise. That's what surprised me. I wasn't surprised by anything else besides the fact that he gassed out like that. I understand there was a lot of running, but at the same time, you should have trained for that. Um, it was an 8 round fight. I didn't anticipate somebody getting gassed in an 8 round fight like that. So that was a shocker to me. But at the end of the day, kudos to Jake Paul for even putting something like that together and making something like that happen and getting in the ring and going after it and chasing his dream. And, who am I to criticize somebody for going and chasing their dream? Kudos to him. It takes balls. It takes balls to get on a stage in the public eye and go fail publicly. Um, so hopefully he has a speedy recovery, and obviously he's going to need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what he wants to do there. But, overall, that fight, yeah, went how I thought it was going to go. I'm not surprised. So congrats to AJ, and I guess kudos to Jake Paul for even doing it, but hopefully he learned something. Anyway, moving on. So I wanted to talk about before the holidays, going into it. Some people have big plans for 2026, and I kind of want to recap 2025 for me and my family really quick. So 2024 was probably the hardest year I've had as an adult in my adult life. Maybe in my life, but we'll just say my adult life for sure. It was a tough year. Just couldn't catch a break. Um, it had nothing to even do with money. Like it was everything but money. And that goes to tell you, money doesn't buy everything. Money doesn't buy happiness. Money was there and it has nothing to do with that. But there's a lot of personal things happen in my life that I had no control over, which sucked. I'm somebody that's generally I've been able to control most situations in my life. And so when I came across something that I just had no control over, it was tough for me. It was a tough pill to swallow. Um, you talk about some humble pie. I got a lot of it. I got a whole Thanksgiving dinner of humble pie, and it was tough. And I'm not going to go into detail on what exactly happened to make it that way, but what I am here to tell you is I vowed to myself, it was coming down the pipeline of 2024. So we're talking entering the fall of 24. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Um, this isn't going well. This isn't how I want to live. Um, and so my wife and I made an executive decision that we were going to pack up our things and move 1,500 miles into a place that we knew absolutely nobody, and we were going to go chase our dreams in a place where we knew nobody, and we were going to make it work. Which to some people that probably sounds insane or asinine or whatever you want to call it, and maybe it is or was. But that's what we decided we wanted to do. The decision came down to we saved up money every year to go to Florida because Florida was our happy place. Every time we went to Florida, we were just over the moon happy. We love the warm weather, the hot weather. We love the beach. We love the palm trees, how everything's so green. We love all the wildlife. And we're outdoors people, and everything we like to do is literally outdoors, whether it's hiking, kayaking, camping, swimming, fishing, shelling. We just love being outside. And in Kansas, there's not a whole lot to do. Um, yeah, there's some water you can go kayak in, but the water's gross. Um, don't really want to get in it. And obviously, there's no shelling. There is fishing. Fishing in Kansas is fun. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But it just wasn't really our speed. It wasn't our cup of tea. And we found ourselves traveling to do anything we wanted to do. We had to go to, Missouri or Arkansas, something Colorado. So we had to leave to go enjoy doing what we wanted to do because we enjoy pretty scenery and all the things, right? So we just made enough of that. We made the executive decision instead of saving up money to go to our happy place once or twice a year. Why don't we just go move to our happy place? And if we need to come back to this place to visit or do whatever we need to do, we'll do that. That's fine. That's really what it boiled down to. And so 2025 has been, I went from one of the worst years of my life to probably the best year I've ever had in my life. And it's just been, developing that relationship with God was the first thing that I did to even make anything possible. And I gave my life to Christ on August 5th of 2024 and just haven't looked back. Just been on fire for it ever since and been all about it. And, my wife and I, we go to church on, every Sunday, which I don't believe church makes you a good Christian. However, having that consistency and that discipline to go on top of doing other things, I do think makes you a good Christian because to me, church is a place to where you go mingle with like-minded people, but the ministry is really throughout the week. When you're interacting with everybody else, that's where your ministry and your testimonies and things come into play. When you go to church, it's just a nice little refresh to go sit around a bunch of like-minded people. But there is value in going. There's absolutely value in going. It helps me. So I go to Sanibel Bible Church on Sanibel Island, and that place helps me kind of stay centered on where I need to be. It keeps me motivated. It keeps me disciplined. It keeps me all of those things to be on fire with the Lord and not really lose that. And so I highly recommend finding a church. I know sometimes it's hard to find one that fits you and your speed. My wife and I couldn't agree more with you on that. That's a fact. But once you find your place, you'll know it. You'll know it the first time you go. Um, and just I highly encourage you. And it's a good place to network. There's a lot of amazing connections you can make in a church setting. But anyways, my relationship with Christ started August 5th, 2024. I gave my life to Christ, and I did it silently for the longest time. I was like, I'm just going to do this for me, and I knew I needed to do it, so I just did it for me in the beginning. But what happened was, the closer that I got to God and to Jesus, the further I got away from my wife and my kids. And so it got to a point to where I finally had to sit down and listen. I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is what I'm noticing. And I'd prayed on it for quite some time, and my wife didn't even hesitate. And come to find out, she had also quietly been doing what I've been doing. She had just obviously started, more recent than what I had. And so she was earlier in her development, with getting that relationship with God. And so it was a super easy conversation to have. Um, and so now my whole family, we practice this stuff daily. We're on fire for it. And I couldn't be more blessed and grateful that that happened. And never in my wildest dreams did I anticipate it. But it is what it is. We love it. We love our lifestyle. We love where we're at, and we love what God's doing in our lives. And we know we're tremendously blessed. And I'm not worthy of any of it. I understand that, but very blessed, very very blessed. So that was our first step. And we had to get our finances and everything under control. But let me tell you about 2025. Though 2025 was a year of rolling the dice and talking about leaps of faith. We moved in March. We moved down to Florida, 1,500 miles to a place where we literally knew absolutely nobody, not a single soul, not a person. And we took that opportunity to develop our relationship with God. Since we didn't really know anybody else, so we kind of just started doing that. Luckily, I had a really great couple of really good friends from back home in Topeka, and talked to them often once I got down here, and they helped me through a lot. Made me feel like maybe I wasn't as alone as I really was, because I'm still talking to them like I used to. And we decided we're going to start launching um, some businesses and chasing our dreams. And so that's what we did. I've launched Culture Ignite, which is a business consulting company, which I go in and I help companies that are struggling financially, that were once profitable. And I go in and try to figure out where's their miss. And so far, I'm shooting 100% on correcting them. So kudos to me, but kudos to God and everything for even blessing that opportunity in my life. But I use my experience in being in leadership and running businesses to run my own business and to go help other businesses be profitable. Um, we have another company in the works that I'm not going to speak about because I don't want to speak on it until it's completed. Super awesome company coming in the works. And then my other company is Faithful Athletics Agency. So I became a sports agent over this last year and had the awesome opportunity and blessing to I'm currently representing the John Ironman Cantrell. Have a few other potential clients throughout the United States. I got one in San Diego and another one in Houston. So we'll see how that stuff works. But so that's kind of just taken off on me a lot faster than I realized it was going to. But kudos to John for even thinking about it, thinking about me to be in that position, and encouraging me to go for it, because it's led both me and him to uncharted waters for both of us. There's a couple times we just look at each other like, man, pinch me, because it's insane, the things that we're able to do and the blessings that God's blessed us with every day, and so. And then my wife she's still maintains her full-time job on top of everything. So luckily she's able to work remote. We also started homeschooling our son this year, and that's been a tremendous blessing. To control his curriculum, to control what he's being taught, how he's being taught, at what speed he's being taught. Um, it's a lot more work as a parent. It's a lot more work because if he doesn't understand it on the computer, it's your job as a parent to explain it to him so he understands it. Um, and so it takes some time. You got to go devote some time to go sit next to your child and teach them whatever it is that they're trying to learn, and have the patience to get them, walk them through it. Also, big blessing has been able to I take him with me all the time. I think I've mentioned that multiple times, and I cannot encourage it enough to go take, if you have an opportunity, get your kids out. Go show them real life, real world things. Have them get some experience under their belt and what it actually looks like. What does an actual business conversation look like? What does a negotiation look like? Um, that's extremely important. Extremely important. If you want your kid to go be, I don't want to just say if they have to be successful, this is the only way, but it definitely adds some tools in their box to go be successful once they're older. That's for sure. If you can teach them how to look somebody in the eye, how to give them a handshake, how to talk to somebody, how to communicate, how to reach somebody, build a network. If you can teach them those things, those are all skills. Now, some of us have some God-given abilities to do those things, but at the end of the day, it's still a skill that you have to harness. You have to sharpen that God-given ability to make it work. Yeah, it's easy to go talk to somebody, but I know people like this. They're really, really good at first impressions, but then as soon as you get by that first impression, you realize who they really are, it's over. They never sharpened it up. They never corrected the back end of it. God gave them the gift of, hey, you got a frontline punch here. That's unstoppable. But you didn't develop yourself back here to make it meet. You know what I mean? So you got to teach your kids this stuff. And I'm able to grab him and take him with me. And we went to Europe this year, which was fantastic. Got to go meet some awesome, incredible people. Learned a ton about their culture, and how they do things. Their food was spectacular. Their hospitality was out of this world. I had really good conversations, and had some eye-opening conversations over there as well. But enjoyed our time there, and then obviously the boxing event that just took place a couple weeks ago, or just a week ago, and so yeah, that was kind of my year, 2025. It's been a wild year, been a wild ride. Um, we And the other thing that I forgot to mention is we did sell our house. That was one of the other things. Is once we moved, we wanted no ties to Kansas. We wanted nothing to do with Kansas. No offense to the state of Kansas, it's just not our cup of tea. And so we really wanted to try to separate, not have anything lingering back home. Um, and so we made this our new home, and kind of everything is here for us. And it's been scary at times, but it's been very rewarding also. So, and I mean, it's just gorgeous down. I think it's like 71 out there right now and sunny. Like, it's just gorgeous here. But anyway, so very, very blessed. And I just wanted to recap. Some people, I kind of popped up randomly in 2025 after a little bit of a hiatus, but I made a post the other day, and it's the truth. If you really want to fix yourself and fix your life, fix your lifestyle, fix your environment, fix your habits, you're not going to be able to do that publicly. I mean, I'm sorry to tell that to you, but you're not going to be able to go online, and you see these people post everything about their lives on Facebook, and it's a, it's one thing wrong after another. It's like, yeah, posting about this is not going to solve your problem. Um, I've never seen it work. I've never in my life seen somebody air it all out on social media and figure it out how to turn it around. It just does not work that way. So I highly encourage those people, if you're struggling, had a rough year, or whatever, go silent. I'm not saying you have to delete it, but just go silent and work on you. Go look in the mirror and work on you. It's always you versus you. It's not you versus anybody else. Don't compare your life to anybody else's life. It's your life versus your life. And it's you who you are versus who you want to be. That's the matchup. That's the main event matchup every day. And you're gonna have some growing pains, but you can do it. But you're not gonna be able to do it publicly. So knock that off. Stop doing that. It's not gonna work. Um, so anyway, yeah. So I want to give you kind of a brief kind of how my 2025 went. Obviously Thursday's Christmas. So I'm not gonna record on Christmas, so this will be my only one this week. And the thing I really want to touch on today, as we go into the new year, maybe some of you guys are looking at being an entrepreneur or starting something on your own. And I wanted to stop in and just give you a few tips from my chair, things that I've learned along the way. And number one is you're going to have to develop your discipline. On how you develop that, that's up to you. I would obviously highly recommend mind, body, and spirit. That's obviously what I'm going to tell you. But you need to develop discipline. You know, when nobody's telling you to go to bed at a certain time, nobody's telling you to wake up at this time, nobody's telling you to start work, you have to be disciplined to do that stuff. You know, it's easy to just want to sit around and watch, you know, Pat McAfee or First Take or, you know, whatever. I'm a sports guy, so I watch sports stuff. It's easy to just want to sit around and watch that stuff all the time. And it is for me anyway. I could sit there and watch Pat McAfee for hours. I love that guy. That guy's hilarious. But you got to be productive. So what I find is a lot of times if I have stuff to do and Pat McAfee's on, I'll mute Pat McAfee and I'll be working on something. Every once in a while, I'll look up at the screen, and if they're talking about something I really, really want to know about, I'll unmute it while I continue to work. That's kind of how I worked around it. You just have to find what works for you, and that's the first thing. You're gonna have to develop your discipline. If you want to do anything in life, you're gonna have to be disciplined. Second thing is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to know how to talk to people, which hopefully you're coming out of at least a leadership position, and leadership position gives you the depending on, so like if you're a general manager, obviously you're running a business, right? You're running a P&L report, you're running a culture, you're hiring, firing, you're doing all your disciplinary stuff, things like that. So that stuff's all very, very valuable stuff. Carry that over. Now, here's the problem that I have. I'm trying to think how to word this. When it comes to leadership, it's hard to find a good leader. And so, you know, if you carry over a nasty leadership skill set into an entrepreneur, it's not going to work. Like, you need to be a successful. And here's what I measure success by. Yes, you have to be a profitable business, right? You gotta make money. But outside of that, what does your retention rate look like? What's your turnover rate? That says a lot about you as a person. And a lot of leaders will try to hide behind the fact, well, you know, this company pays more than my company does, so I can't keep my people because people are going to go where the money is. And that's true to an extent. But I can also tell you firsthand that I've had people come sit in my office that were offered $15,000 more a year and turned it down because they enjoyed working for me and the company that they worked for. So, you know, yes, money is a lot of things, but as long as you're paying your people enough, money is not everything. And so, don't sit there and try to hide behind the fact that you are a piss poor leader because you think somebody else pays more than you do, which that may be true. So that's not gonna, to me, in my opinion, in my experience, which is quite a bit, you if you're losing people to other companies, that's a you problem. Now, not paying as high as other companies pay may cause you to have issues when it comes to having a candidate pool when you're hiring, right? Because they're not going to apply for your job, they're going to apply for their job. So you may have an issue getting candidates. That's what it should affect. And that is out of your control. That's just going to require you to go get boots on the ground and go recruit yourself. But different conversation for a different day. But understand and be accountable for your culture. And you got to carry that over. You know, I'm my own employee, but when I go and have these meetings with these business owners, the CEOs, executive teams, whatever the case may be, you know, I have to go in there. I got to carry myself a certain way. Got to have a presence in the room when you walk in the room. And B, you got to learn how to talk to people. Talk to people with respect. Don't sound arrogant. Don't talk down to people. And have a genuine conversation with somebody. And you learn that in leadership. be comfortable speaking in front of people. You learn that in leadership, right? And that's what I mean by carrying this stuff over. Hopefully, if you're trying to launch your own business for whatever that may be, hopefully you have some good experience as a leader, meaning you've yielded positive results in a leadership position. The third thing, don't focus so much on the product, I'll use Culture Ignite. So I don't focus so much on, like, I don't advertise for that stuff. That's a lot of word of mouth. I help one business and another business tells this business, or this person tells that person, and my emails and my phone stays plenty busy enough. I don't feel the need to have to go market, but I'm also not focusing on, I'm a consultant, I'm a business consultant. No, I focus more on, these are opportunities that I have, that I've been blessed with, to use my abilities to go help other people. And I focus on helping other people. I don't focus on, yes, it's consulting, yes, it makes money, but I don't focus on that. I focus on the actual, what does it take to do this stuff? And how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to get it right? How am I going to make sure these people get their money's worth and they get what they paid for? That's what I focus on. The rest takes care of itself. When I talk about John and being an agent and being a sports agent, I don't focus so much on dollars. I focus more on, where are my opportunities and how can I capitalize on these opportunities? If I focus on that, the rest will take care of itself. John will be taken care of. I'm taken care of. Everybody's living happy. Whatever, we're good. But if you focus on just, well, I got to get in front of these people. Well, I got to go talk to these people. They got to sign this contract. Well, you're probably never going to get very far because that's all you're thinking about. But if you're thinking about, I have an opportunity to go meet with these people, that's fantastic. And I'm going to go in there. I'm going to see how it works. I'm going to see what happens here. And you prep yourself and you focus on, okay, when I go in here, I need to focus on these 3 things or these 4 things, and we need to hammer these things out today. You focus on that stuff, the rest takes care of itself, right? It's like, my morning prayer when I ask God to fill my cup with faith and take all the anxiety out of the window today. Because I think we all naturally have a little bit of anxiety. You got to leave all that stuff out and focus on, I have an opportunity here, and I'm going to go capitalize on this opportunity. And that could mean X, Y, and Z on the back end of it, but cool. I'm not worried about that. What I'm worried about is, can I walk out of here with my head held high, smile on my face, and knowing I did a damn good job today? That's what I focus on. And I would encourage you to focus on that. Focus on the process, not the end result. That's what I was trying to tell you. Couldn't find the words for it, but focus on the process. Fall in love with the process of being successful. Don't fall in love with the success. Success is going to come and go. The process should stay the same. You're going to have your good days, your bad days, your good weeks, your bad weeks. That's just part of it. But the process never changes. No matter if it's a good week or a bad week, it should stay the same. And fall in love with that. But I highly encourage you guys, take that leap of faith. 2026, make that year your year. And that's kind of, when I recap 2025, that's what I guess I was trying to get to is, I wasn't going to sit around and have another 2024. I just wasn't going to do it. And so I prayed and prayed and prayed on it. So, we're going to do this thing. And I tell people all the time, it's the best decision my wife and I have ever made for our family. The best decision, hands down, not even close. And, the network and the connections and the friendships and the opportunities and the vibe and I could go on and on and on about the things down here. And we go back home to Topeka and it's like, man, like the vibe is completely different. Everything's dead. People don't move. People don't talk. People are like hibernating, which it is cool. I mean, I guess I don't blame them. But I'm like, man, this is just so much different. Here, everybody talks to each other and we're all friendly and we're all a community and we're all out and about all the time and we're interacting with each other and we see each other everywhere. This is a city of 340,000 people and yet we still see people all the time and you run into people and it's like a tight-knit big city community. And I guess that's not everywhere, but man, we've been blessed to find this place. It's been tremendous to us and our family. And so if you're thinking about making a move, I would just highly encourage you just to do it. So that's really what we did. And we had moved twice to two. So we moved from my original home, which is Neodesha, Kansas, the dot on the map. But we moved from there to Winfield. And that move proved to us, like, okay, we can do this. Like that, we moved and we're like, okay, because we'd always thought about moving. For probably 3 or 4 years prior to us leaving that place, we had talked about it, but we were always just so scared. We were both from small towns, hadn't really made a move like that, and so it was just a scary thought. Like we really wanted to do it, but it was like, man, I don't know. Like, so anyways, we finally did it, and that gave us the confidence. And then 5 months later, we turned around and moved from Winfield, Kansas, to Topeka, Kansas. And so we did it again. We're like, man, like we're getting pretty good at this. And so that's what really gave us the confidence. Like, okay, we can do this. Like, it doesn't matter where we're going. Like, moving is the same process. And so we did it. The difference was when we moved from Kansas to Topeka, or from Topeka to Florida, is we just had to do it with us. And so that was the challenge. We didn't have any help from anybody else. I understand, right? We were moving that far away, and we looked at like moving companies, and I couldn't stomach paying somebody like $8,000. I'm like, holy cow! I'll just do it myself. $8,000? Like, no. So, anyways, if you want to do it, just do it. That's the message I'm sending to you. Nobody's gonna hand you like, okay, it's your turn now. Here you go. You can move. Like, you just have to make that happen. You have to make that stuff happen in your life. Just make it happen. Make it count. Make it come to fruition. Whatever you got to do, just make it happen. There's nobody's gonna come to your doorstep and say, okay, it's your turn now. You just got to take that stuff in your own hands. And I would highly encourage you to develop a relationship with God, pray on it, and the rest will take care of itself. But anyways, that's the end of today's episode. I really hope there's a lot of people that are trying to become entrepreneurs, want to become entrepreneurs, start your own company, do your own thing. I couldn't recommend it more. I also hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful Christmas, and don't forget the reason why Christmas is a holiday. And be safe, be smart. I will be back here in a week. Yes, in a week, because I'm taking Thursday off since it's a Christmas. So I will see you guys next Monday. So take care of yourself. Have a wonderful, Merry Christmas. Be disciplined. God bless.